With this video, I will introduce you Pybytes device management platform. On the first screen, you might see the core functionality of Pybytes, like adding the device, creating a project, maintaining device, and collecting the configuration of the network. First section that I will introduce you called the device section, and it collects all the devices that were provisioned under Pybytes. In my case, Pybytes collects several pages of different devices. In this table, you might see the information like type of device, project to which device were attached, last time of connection, the firmware version, and the networks that this device supports. In order to add the device to the platform, we have two options. One option is via mobile application that will allow to provision from one to multiple devices simultaneously. But today with this video, I will show you another type of provisioning, and this is a manual provisioning. Manual provisioning will allow users to provision via USB cable, and the device should be connected to the PC. While running the wizard of device provisioning, first users should create the digital profile. On the first step of the device wizard, user will see the portfolio of PyCom, the development boards, shields, OEM products. User should select the device that he already purchased, and on the next step, user should select one of the shields in order to create the couple of the development board and shield. Then we need to specify the network connection, and after that, the device digital profile will be created. The last step of provisioning and binding the physical device with digital profile, it's actually the provisioning with one of the options that we introduced under Pybytes platform. We created the plugin called Piemaker. This plugin works for IDE like Atom and Visual Code Studio, and simply by copying this string and placing it in one of IDE, for example in Atom, user can connect the physical device with his digital profile under Pybytes. Also, we have a desktop application called Firmware Updater that also allows to provision physical device to the digital platform, and simultaneously it will update the firmware version. Currently, we are working on online firmware updater that will allow users to do the provisioning under Pybytes platform without leaving it and jumping into the other application. So when provisioning is done, user can see the dashboard that currently is empty, and user can push the code, MicroPython code, via Piemaker online. We recreate our Piemaker plugin in online in the cloud environment. that allow user to update the code over the air. And if I open one of my actual devices that is working in my home place and measuring some ambient metrics like temperature, humidity, and pressure, we will see already the dashboard full of the data. And if I go to Piemaker online, in order to show you what kind of code I uploaded to the device, we will be able to see the collection of libraries and few default MicroPython files. Main.py carry the information about the measurements that I am extracting from the sensors under my development board. And here you might easily see that I'm measuring indeed pressure, temperature, light, and the battery status. So all those data user be able to see under the signal tab, and he can also adjust the way of representation of the information on the dashboard. So either I can choose a line chart, bar chart, and also in order to be able to see these charts on the dashboard, I should click the visibility in dashboard marker. So if we go back to the dashboard of this device, we will see those graphs and the device location itself. I can also organize those graphs in a way to easily check and track the information by drag and drop them in the region and saving the changes afterwards. Other tab that we have on the device digital profile, it's notification, and this allows us to create several types of alerts. For example, to notify user about battery status, about data usage, or even about the firmware update. The last but not least, under the device profile, we have a configuration tab. With this tab, we might change all the settings that we earlier preset for this device, like device name, the type of expansion board, or the network configuration. For example, previously, this device was placed in my office, and when I move it to my home, I was at least needed to change the Wi-Fi credentials in order to establish the connection for the device in my home. And we can also see the status of firmware, if it's up to date, and by pressing deploy configuration, I can push all those changes over the air to the device. So we go next, the project section. Project entity helps us to adjust all the settings for several devices that are collected under the project. For instance, we have a home project, and for home project, I added 4 devices. Those 4 devices may be updated in one click due to the feature that we call releases. If we start creating new release, we will see that this entity collects information about configuration. We can upload firmware and also the MicroPython code that carries main functionality. By putting some notes, we will always know what is the specific about this release. And by specifying the devices where it should be deployed, we will update all the configurations for all the devices simultaneously. Under the project, we have another feature that's called PyMesh. So all the devices under the project, we can organize in mesh, and mesh structure gives us flexibility in matter of device performance. One of the devices should be defined as the border router that will transmit the data from the other devices. But the flexibility is appeared when this device, border router, failed to work, and the other devices can carry the same function on border router and substitute it in order to maintain the stable connection. And of course, under projects, we have a configuration as well, and user might change either network or PyMesh settings and deploy it on the go to all the devices under this project. Next section in Pybytes, it's network. Network settings allows us to collect and adjust the settings for the networks that we are using for our projects or for the separate devices. We support Wi-Fi, LTE, Ethernet, Sigfox, and LoRa connection. So by creating several Wi-Fi credentials, for example, we will be able to use them and easily switch between different networks inside the project or under the device. Also connected to networks SIM card section. Currently, we have it separately from network settings section, and it allows us to see more information regarding LTE connection. Pybytes support now Vodafone SIM cards, and if we go deeper to the Vodafone SIM cards profile, due to using open APIs from Vodafone, we will show user more information about the location of his SIM card and the log files. So all information on demand will be visible to user under the SIM card profile. As I mentioned, recently we added online editor IDE called Piemaker. And by using Piemaker, we are able to change the project code or change the code inside device. We can easily upload this code by using zip file uploading feature. And if the user has repository under GitHub, we can also go for using this code, shared code, in the device management platform. So easily by searching on keywords the repository that are open for using. We can select the branch and upload the shared code to Piemaker, start working, and later on deploy onto device or in the project. One of the new features that we recently deployed to Pybytes called machine learning. Machine learning, it's a smart processing of the data. By adding new machine learning model, we should specify few parameters like frequency of data sampling, name of the machine learning model, and the way how we will process data and how we will learn our neural network to get the valuable information from the data. If I go back to my collection of the models, the first model that I created was related to the gesture analysis, and I was analyzing the data according to the labels, like up-down movement, left-right movement, or circle movement. By creating this model, training it with neural network, and after that deploying to the device, I was able to find out the patterns in the performance of my real devices, or to find the abnormal data that are not within those models. And then I should separate from the real data. Next section and functionality that we bring to our users, it's integration. We allow users to fetch their data to the most usable cloud platform like AWS, Webhook, Azure, or Google Cloud. By that, user might extend his ability to analyze and store the data. Last section that we have is account. User will see the dashboard summary about the amount of devices under Pybytes, about the amount of projects and number of requests that he did about the geolocation on a map. Also, we add the security. By generating access token, user will be able to share his devices on projects with other people in order to collaborate in the development. And if we go to account tab, we will jump to the account settings under SSO portal. That's all what we currently have on the Pybytes. We are working on open API that will be released soon and will allow our users to establish the same functionality locally. And we are going to improve our project settings, but by adding the templates for the most relevant cases in the industry, like agriculture, smart robotics, smart home, fleet management, and so on. So looking forward to work with you as a client. Thank you.